Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, Rinpoche.
Oh, all right.
Good
Okay,
morning,
okay. Good
Rinpoche.
morning, Mr. Hung, and good morning, everyone.
Thầy xin
Greetings to everyone,
repeat your
especially.
name. Yeah.
Hello, hello. Looks like someone's in the forest. Okay, so we will start with the refuge. So, yeah. 觉那作业叫那罗讲究巴多那里也做些，那也就些也别是那也着那边也三也就把说三也，也那作业叫那罗讲究巴多那里也做些。那也就些也别是那也着那边也三也就把说。也觉得作业就那，这就不多那年给自己那也这些也没什么也做了编辑上就把了说，没得了，
User Mandala.
我在西北也。求些他们日他们爱些你的爱也爱的三业心多。面对我这个那么爱心了，这把手艺那么过着了，面对了干你样的呀，嗯，OK，um, so we will now continue from where we left last week, which is so we were basically talking on the different levels or different types of patients, the ordinary patients or the kind of patients that we face when we have been wronged and someone criticizes us and etc. etc. Then the kind of patients which we have to endure when while of course life in general is very difficult. There's so many ups and downs in life, so many suffering coming through. On top of that, when we practice in order to escape the suffering of life, we engage in Dharma practices, and while doing Dharma practices also we have different types of challenges that we have to face. So that is the second type of patience. And then now when we when we engage into Dharma practices, there are so many worldly challenges that we have to face. And when we overcome those worldly challenges and we delve like deeply into the Buddha Dharma, then we face process. And so this patient talking about patience, profound truth without fear. So that I'm going to talk about. Yeah. So first of all, to face the ultimate truth, or sorry, to face the profound truth without fear. Even though specifically the truth that we are referring to is the truth of so to make it simple, this is the truth of emptiness that we are talking about. So normally in the Mahayana teaching we talk about two things. the most expansive, very wide and big, expansive, and the most profound. So from someone who is not trained or someone who is not prepared for this teaching, both of these both of this path can be daunting. The expansive one as well as the profound one. So right now, the patience to face the profound truth, we are referring to profundity, profound things. That is emptiness, and there is also the expansive things. So one of the more popular expansive practices is the practices of the six perfections. So we are covering one of the six perfections, which is the patience, the perfection of patience right now. And within each practices, such as patience, such as diligence, this and that, there are many subsects, subcategories. And so the practices of the Mahayana practice, or the practices of a Mahayana practice, basically means practices of a bodhisattva. So what types of practices a bodhisattva would engage in order to become a better practitioner himself or herself, or to become the Buddha, like that. So the expansive practices include, the six perfections, which include such as generosity, wherein in the stories that we have covered in the past, there were stories of the bodhisattvas giving up their own, not their wealth, not just their palaces, not just their wealth, but giving up their own body, flesh, their head, their limbs, etc., etc., which is very. These types of practices were really something that it is not something for the faint-hearted. So these are things to endure and to be patient about in the expansive category. So in the Mahayana practice, there's the expansive category and the profound category. And so right now, when we say patience to face the profound truth, we are talking about the profound category, which is basically, we are talking about mainly we are talking about emptiness. But as we read along, we will find the fear here, the Teacher Rinpoche covers not only the fear, the patience to endure not only the fear of the profundity, but also that of the expansive aspect as well. So basically, to put it simply, so to make it easy for you to understand, so when we say patience to face the profound truth, we are referring to in order for someone to be prepared and to endure the reality of emptiness. That is what we are referring to. Yeah, so I will follow the book a little bit here. So it's on the page 244 in English. I think it's on the middle paragraph. So patience to face the profound truth without fear. So should you receive teachings on the natural state of profound emptiness, or more particularly, so normally in our studies, normally when we talk about the profound truth, we usually refer to the profundity of emptiness. That's all we talk about most of the time. Only to the select few, only in esoteric practices we talk about the rest. But here, Patrul Rinpoche dedicated only one line to emptiness, and the rest he actually dedicated to the expansive practice. Expansive means vast, big. So instead of referring to the profound practice, he is referring more to the vast aspect of the Mahayana, or the expansive aspect of the Mahayana teaching, which is so one line is dedicated to emptiness, and then afterwards he was talking. So I'm going back to the book, more particularly on the key points of natural great perfection, or the dzogchen, beyond all activity and effort, or on the 12 Vajra laws, beyond the effects of good and bad actions, or on the 8 great marvelous verses. Try to grasp their true meaning without giving rise to negative views. So in all the sutras, the third patience that we are covering today is based on the profound truth. Profound truth meaning profound, not expansive or the vast. Profound meaning emptiness. So why Pedro Rinpoche is dedicating only one line to the emptiness aspect, right? He said only one line. It says, should you receive teaching on the natural state of profound emptiness? And then the rest, maybe 8 or 9 other lines, are dedicated to the expansive aspect, not the profound aspect. Why is he doing that? So for this to understand, one needs to have a, this is very important actually, very, very important. He's supposed to be talking about profound things, but he seems to be talking about expansive, outside, external, different things, not the profound teaching. Why is he doing so? So in order to realize that, one needs to recognize that the expansive outside world comes through the understanding or comes from the innermost profound truth, which is emptiness itself. So because of emptiness, there is the great perfection, the 12 Vajra loves, and all this and that. So basically, these are different attainments or practices to be followed in the Vajrayana, usually in the one-on-one with your master. So basically, these are not usually that are revealed openly or publicly, and the reason behind that is because when you explain this to people, when you explain this in the public and without the proper introduction or without the proper preparation, no matter how much you try to explain to someone, that person can get the wrong idea, and then they will start criticizing, abusing the Dharma overall. So for that reason, these are only taught on a one-on-one or in a very closed enclosure. The reason Pedro Rinpoche spent more time, or most of his line here, are on the vast aspect rather than on the profound. The reason, as I said earlier, is it's because all this, we call this the elaborations, all the elaborate manifestations of different, we usually especially when we go to generally in any temple, and especially when we go to a Tibetan Buddhist temple, which is dedicated to Vajrayana Buddhism, you see a lot of different deities that have tens, hundreds, thousands of arms, tens of hundreds of heads, with wives, very fearful, killing someone, trampling upon different animals, different people, etc., which is totally against what the Buddha taught about peace and this and that. So if you are a new Buddhist, you learn about Buddhist because Buddhism sounds pacific, Buddhism sounds peaceful, this and that. Then you go to a Tibetan temple and especially go to the inner, the sanctorium, the inner temple, and then you find so many disturbing images, and then you just, oh my God, and it's very, it's happening as we speak right now. There is a lot of criticism that the so-called Tibetan Buddhism is not Buddhism, etc., or that Vajrayana Buddhism is basically an adaptation of Hinduism and not Buddhism, etc. So the main point is the reason these things come is because if both the audience, the students, as well as the teachers fail to explain all these outer explorations or the expressions of the different deities in union, attacking each other, this and that, if the teacher fails to explain that all this comes from the understanding of profundity of the emptiness, that all this thing comes from emptiness, If the teacher fails to do so, the students will fail to understand that. And if that happens, it's better. It actually creates a chaotic situation in the Buddha Dharma realm all over. So for that reason, it's better to not to disclose than to share. But here, Pedro Rinpoche, instead of talking about emptiness itself, which is what profound truth is all about in general, he actually dwells further into the explorations of the expressions of emptiness into different forms. Emptiness expressions of emptiness in different forms. What I mean is, you normally within the Heart Sutra there is a sentence, emptiness is form and form is emptiness. So here, when we think of emptiness, we think of nothing, not there anything. And to think of emptiness as a form, or to think of form as emptiness, is impossible for us. But Pedro Rinpoche is pushing us to think that emptiness is form, in the sense that with the proper understanding, with the proper grasping of the philosophy of emptiness, the profound teaching of emptiness, one can actually create different forms as deities in union, deities attacking each other, fearful. Deity is supposed to be very peaceful, or compassionate, but at the same time attacking people. How do you make that? How does that thing make sense? It does make sense once you understand the profundity of emptiness, etc. So in order to teach us that the expansiveness or the vastness lies within the emptiness, that is why Pedro Rinpoche, instead of dedicating 90% of the lines on profound emptiness, which is supposed to be, he dedicated only one line on emptiness, and the rest was actually his effort was put on the vast teaching, not the emptiness, not the profound teaching. That's really vast. Okay. So I will try to stick with the text more, because that way we can save more time. Otherwise, okay. So Pedro Rinpoche, in the first line, he was talking about the first line, which he used only on profound emptiness. He used only one line. So I want to elaborate a little bit here, because so he said natural state of profound emptiness. So these four words I want to cover. So natural state, and then a profound emptiness, or maybe two words most likely. So natural state is, nature is what it is, right? When you play with it, when you add or subtract from it, it is no more natural. It's no more natural. You are playing with nature. You are molding with nature. You are basically giving shape, making shape to nature, but it's not nature. So nature is what it is. When the tree is growing, when the tree is there, it is nature. When you pluck the fruit from the tree, it's no more natural, right? So when you are playing with the nature, you are destroying the nature. You are, maybe if you put soil and water and do different things, you are adding more things to that tree. You add fertilizer, this and that. You're adding to the nature. You're not making a nature. Nature cannot be made. Nature is what it is. So same like that. Emptiness is the natural state of all phenomena. Everything rises from the state of emptiness. So for that reason, emptiness is the nature. Meaning, emptiness is what it is. In Tibetan as well as in Sanskrit, there is a word we use. So in English, it's translated as suchness. So there is no real word for that, but we use the word, the equivalent. There's no equivalent in English, so we use the word suchness, such as, like we say such as. So we use the term suchness, like emptiness, we use the term suchness. So it is what it is. There is no, if you try to explain it any further, when you try to explain it any further, when you try to think of it any much any more to the left or more to the right, then you are diverting from the truth. So it is what it is. That is the natural state. So emptiness is that. When you remove everything that what is not. For example, okay, I will explain, okay? I will just rephrase it again and then explain. When you remove everything that is not, when you remove everything that is not, when you remove everything that is not, what remains is the truth. And that is the emptiness. So emptiness is not about, not empty. When we say the profound emptiness in the Buddha Dharma, Buddha teaching, it's not as an empty bowl or an empty room like that. When we say an empty room, we are talking about there's no furniture, this and that, right? Here we are talking about empty of what it is not. So when you remove everything that it is not, what remains is what it is. That is the such thing. That is the, it is as it is as it is. That is what it is, right? So that thing, even if you say that thing, you are adding something more. We cannot even say that. So we have to say it is the empty of what it is not. That is the, so only best way to describe the profound truth is not by making a statement or by positing something, but by negating everything that it is not. If I explain myself as, okay, I am a monk, that is not the whole thing, right? If I say I'm a Tibetan, that is not the whole picture. If I say I'm the one who wear the glass, it's not the whole picture. If I say I am the one with no hair, that is not the whole picture. But if I say I am the one, which I am not, I am the one that is the negation of what I'm not, then that is actually what I am. So when I remove everything that I am not, then what remains is the real me, or the me that remains when I remove everything that is not me. Then what remains is the real truth or the reality. So therefore, emptiness is about removing everything that is not. Emptiness is not about removing everything. Emptiness is about removing everything that is not. When you remove everything that is not, then what remains is the truth, the profound truth. So, so in that understanding, in that understanding, emptiness is the natural state, because emptiness is before the fruit is plucked by the human hand. Emptiness is before the trees were fertilized by human beings. Emptiness was the fruit that born out of the tree naturally, right? So in this understanding, when you look at emptiness, if you understand this more carefully, then when you say emptiness, you don't think about empty. When you say emptiness, you think about something full. Because of emptiness, the trees bear fruit. Because of emptiness, the tree is free from everything it is not. And because the tree is free from the tree is free, or the tree is empty of everything that it is not, that does not constitute to the tree can be a tree. And because the tree is a tree can bear fruit like that. So that's why the natural state of the profound emptiness. But normally when we talk about emptiness in the Dharma teachings, for those who are a little bit familiar with the emptiness teaching, and especially when you get a little bit familiar with the emptiness teaching, then you start to think why Buddha is talking about emptiness, this emptiness, everything is empty, form is empty. How can form be empty? Because form is a form. There is a form, there is a shape. And how can it be empty? And it doesn't make any sense at all. Either Buddha didn't make that statement. It was made up by some scholars in the later times, or Buddha Dharma is nonsense. Yeah? So if you say Buddha Dharma is nonsense, you are rejecting Buddha's teaching in general. If you say this particular teaching on emptiness is nonsense, then you are rejecting the Mahayana teachings. So either way, you are making a big mistake. And more importantly, Pedro Rinpoche wants to point to us that all the elaborate, the hundreds of thousands of deities and the mandalas and the monasteries and this and that, everything that is manifesting outside comes from the profound understanding of emptiness. That's why he dedicated only one line to the emptiness, and then he tried to explain about the external elaborations rather than the profound teaching emptiness itself. Yeah. So I will stick to the text more because now we have limited time. Okay, so basically, without the proper understanding of the emptiness, you will not have a full grasping of the meaning behind the Dzogchen practices, the so-called the 12 Vajra laws, this and that. Basically, these are also very high-level practices. And as it is said in the text itself, these are some of the practices are seemingly the practices seemingly go over the what do you call it? The method or the path of good and bad. Meaning, normally what we considered good and what we considered bad is actually reversed, and everything is shuffled up in these practices. And so there are many times we refer to the Vajrayana practices as the non-conventional practices. So here things go beyond what our traditional beliefs are. Whatever we are comfortable with, that thing is being shackled. That thing is shuffled, and we are made uncomfortable, because when we are uncomfortable, only then we move. When we feel comfortable, we stay. So where are we staying? We are staying in samsara, right? And then we think like, okay, there is good thing, bad thing in life, but this is what life is all about. Life is life is a roller coaster. There will be ups, there will be downs. So that is what life is. Let's just leave it there. There's nothing much we can do or have to do about it. We are in samsara. Let's be in samsara. In the Vajrayana practices, things are a little bit shaken. So in Vajrayana, there are many different levels. Like very simply, there are 4 levels: the Kriya Tantra, etc., etc. So there are 4 main levels. And then when we go deeper, there are like many subdivisions as well. Anyway, so basically, Vajrayana practice is to make you unsettled, right? Because when you are not settling in a good place, you are settling in samsara. So therefore, you have to be unsettled. Therefore, you have to be made uncomfortable. And when you are, that's why it's inconventional, and that is why it does not sit well with so many people. So many people feels good, want to feel good with meditation, peace out, fragrant incense burning, beautiful image of the Buddha, very peaceful, looking at you, or there's some lotus flower, trees, pond, everything. Basically, you want to replicate what you are trying to do in your worldly in your worldly aspirations. You want to make the same thing in the spiritual world too. Make everything beautiful, this and that. But at the end of the day, you still want to stay. You don't want to move. That's the problem. Because where you are staying is not a good place, not a stable place. You are staying in samsara. And so for that reason, you have to move in order to push you, in order to show you the Vajrayana teachings were made. In any case, so Pedro Rinpoche was saying that without the proper understanding of emptiness, you cannot understand the more profound or more high level Vajrayana teachings. And by doing so, you're probably going to say, okay, Vajrayana is just, as I said earlier, as an adaptation of Hindu practices. It's just magic. It's just hocus pocus and all these fuzzy things and this and that. And by doing so, you're actually going to accumulate a huge heavy negative karma. Because when you say Mahayana good, Vajrayana bad, when you say that, you're actually rejecting one aspect of the Buddha's teaching. When you reject one aspect of the Buddha's teaching, you are rejecting Buddha's teaching. When you reject one aspect of the Buddha's quality, you are rejecting Buddha's quality. So therefore, when you reject the Buddha's teaching, when you reject the Buddha's quality, when you reject the Buddha's dedication and hard work, per se, so to speak, then you are accumulating the so-called harmful act of rejecting the Dharma. By doing so, that act is an act which is more sinister or more pernicious than the 5 acts of immediate retribution without immediate the 5 acts with immediate retribution. Basically, 5 acts. The so-called 5 acts is the killing your father, killing your mother, killing a arhat, creating a rift between two groups of sangha, and then making the Buddha bleed. Okay, so these are the 5 sinister. I forgot the exact word for that. So basically, these are the 5 acts with immediate retribution. Basically, when you act any of these, when you engage in any of these 5 karmic deeds, there is no retribution. No matter how much purification you do, you have to suffer in the hell realm, and you go to hell realm without the mediacy, without going through the intermediate state. There's no intermediate. There's no pardo, no intermediate. When you engage in the 5 acts, killing father, killing mother, creating rift between 2 sangha group, killing an arhat, and bleeding a Buddha. So these 5 acts, there is no retribution, no pardo for you. Because in the pardo realm, there is the chance for you to come back. I mean, instead of going to the lower, if you are heading to the lower level with practices and different guidance, we can guide you to the higher realm. But without the pardo realm, without the intermediate, without the intermediate, it is immediate. There is no medium. Directly, right away, you go to the hell realm, like that. So basically, rejecting the Dharma is the negative karma for the burden of rejecting the Dharma is too heavy. So one must not engage in that. Yeah. So during the time of the Master Atisha, there were 2 monks. The story goes that there were 2 monks in India. There were 2 monks who we usually call them the monks with 12 qualities of full training. Basically, they are very good monks, someone who kept the vows and very proper monks. So they came to the Atisha for learning, and then Master Atisha talk about ego and the ego having no substance, ego having no substance, ego having no substantial existence, ego having no intrinsic existence, etc. And they were very comfortable with that. Yes, ego has no substance, no, like that. And then he went further and said that the self or the person has no substance. The person has no substance. The self has no substance. And they were very uncomfortable with that. And they pleaded to Atisha, please don't teach such teaching, don't give such teaching like this. It's very like that. And then Atisha went on further, and he taught the Heart Sutra and said like, no nose, no ear, this and that. And they were so disturbed they blocked, they put, what do you call it? They blocked their ears because the Adisha still keep teaching, not stopping. So they put, they stuff their ears with cotton balls or whatever, and then trying to like that. And then Adisha said that time, yes, it is important. It is important to train oneself in loving kindness and compassion. If you don't have that, by merely having confidence in the and then develop, of course, and then develop compassion, and then develop the profound understanding of the profound truth, emptiness, based on compassion and kindness. If you don't have that, just by keeping the pure vows, the monastic vow alone, doesn't make you anything, leads you nowhere. And also during the Buddha's time, this is during Adisha's time, right? So even during Buddha's time, when the Buddha gave the teaching of emptiness, Buddha gave the teaching of emptiness to in the public. In the public, so most of the Buddha's public teachings were given in the Pali language. And when he gave the teachings on profound emptiness in those languages, especially to the public, there are many monks, many senior monks who couldn't fathom, who couldn't comprehend what the Buddha was teaching, and then they thought Buddha, it's beyond anything imaginable, and they got infuriated, disturbed, and threw up blood and pus, and then they have to, and then many monks actually died while listening to the Buddha teach on emptiness. So in later cases, of course, Buddha, most of the profound teachings of the Buddha, the Mahayana teachings of the Buddha, were always given in Sanskrit and not in the Pali, which is the common language, but it was given in the Sanskrit, which was the language of the scholarly. So someone who has at least, if not spiritually, but at the scholarly level, someone who has reached a certain level, they can comprehend the Buddha's teaching on emptiness like that. But this is important. We must not think like, okay, we are doing much better than those monks and those, because we don't throw up blood, we don't feel disturbed when we hear about emptiness. That is not because we actually understand emptiness and we're not scared. It's because we don't understand, we don't have no clue what emptiness is still. We think we know, but we don't. That's why we're not scared. So in the sutras, usually they talk about 3 types of people who are scared, who react to the idea of emptiness. People who know about emptiness, who doesn't know anything about emptiness. When you tell them emptiness, they don't, no reaction at all. They don't care, not scared. Those who know emptiness a little bit, but not all too well, they're usually very scared. But those who have understood emptiness to the point, to the core, they're not scared at all. And it is likened to a person who has no idea of how to ride a horse, who's never rode a horse. They think horse riding is very easy, not scared. You tell them about horse riding, they're not scared at all. Then someone starting to ride a horse, they're scared because you might fall, this and that. Then there is a professional horse rider who's not scared of the horse at all, who can control the horse to his whim, like that. Okay, thank you. So no, we will go to the Q&A now. So the first question is, how can we avoid from not practicing well on emptiness and not liberating from samsara? Okay, how can we avoid not practicing emptiness well, properly? So the emptiness, usually so emptiness, as I said earlier, is not about like totally empty, nothing. Emptiness and nothingness is not same, different, right? So emptiness basically means emptiness. Emptiness means empty of all things that is not, right? Empty of all things that is not. So basically, in that understanding, empty of things that are not to be done, empty of things that, for example, harming others is something that is not to be done. Okay, lying to others is something that not to be done, and so emptying your practices from lying, removing, right? Empty and remove, same. So removing your practices from lying, removing your practices, removing in your general life, okay, not just in practice, spiritual life, but in your life alone, removing all the negative, removing the 10 non-virtuous deeds in your life. When you remove those negative things, you are removing what is not. So when you remove what is not, slowly and slowly, you get closer to what is. And what is, that is what emptiness is all about. So basically, coming to make it more simple, to avoid practicing emptiness well, and to avoid not liberating from samsara, we have to understand, or we have to practice the law of karma more. The more attention you pay to law of karma, the closer you will get to understanding emptiness and closer to liberation from samsara. Okay, the second question is, Rinpoche, the Gora walking means we go around to get to the center. As Petru Rinpoche taught us to prepare the vast, the open mind to understand the profound. So, okay, so this is the thing. By doing Gora, by doing mandala, by doing prostration, this and that, we purify our negativity, remove the negativity, and also we accumulate a lot of merit. And by those merit, our mind is become susceptible, becomes more open to grasp the true meaning of the emptiness, etc. So yes, in your question in gist is correct. Yes, it's right. Then the next one is an appreciation for the profound teaching, and thank you for your appreciation. Yeah. Then next one is Rinpoche. I can understand that dukkha is also blissful. Dukkha is suffering. Dukkha is also blissful because that makes us want to get out of samsara. Is that correct? That's the question. So, okay, dukkha itself, pain or suffering itself is not blissful. Pain is pain. Pain is not painless. Pain is pain. Suffering is suffering. Suffering is not happiness. But if you are able to see suffering as suffering, see pain as pain, recognize it as what it is, then you can use that recognition, that understanding, that realization to fling you outside, fling you outside of the situation where you are. If you don't know that you are suffering, you are, it happens to a lot, right? We have a disease, sickness for a long time. We didn't know that we have that illness, very tragic, chronic disease, this and that. And very much later, when we are doing a body checkup on something else, that we found out that we have this thing for long time ago, right? That. So if the earlier we diagnose the pain, the earlier we diagnose the suffering, the better it is for us to remove it. So the recognition, okay, the recognition or the identification of pain, dukkha, is blissful, is important. Dukkha or pain is not blissful, but the recognition of pain is helpful, is blissful in the long run. Yes. The next question, so I have 3 more questions, and so after that I will stop. Okay. So because they already asked like 10 minutes, like half an hour ago, so I have to cover these. Okay. So one question is, how does some reject Vajrayana practice? Okay. So rejecting Vajrayana practice is anything spoken in the Vajrayana, any explanation of the Vajrayana teaching that you totally disagree and reject. So I have to make this clear. Buddha's teaching is not like blind faith, okay? So genuine doubt is different. Genuine doubt, like you have like real doubt about something. Okay, why does like Generasi have 1,000 arm? Like why medicine Buddha is blue, Dara is green, this and that. This is like very simple question, but if you go deeper, you have more genuine question, genuine doubt. There is nothing wrong with that. But without proper checking, just making your own assumptions, and then say, for example, like, okay, in the Vajrayana, there is a lot of talk about Guru Yoga, Guru devotion, Guru deity. Then without proper checking, without doing proper understanding, without proper like background checking, you just assume Guru devotion is all about dedicating yourself to the Guru, and which is just one person, and all the students are under the Guru's control. So Guru devotion is nothing but Guru domination, right? If you think like that, if you think Guru devotion is Guru domination, then you are rejecting all of Vajrayana, because at the core of Vajrayana teaching is about Guru devotion. And especially if you go to the higher Yoga Tantra, it's all about Guru devotion. And then if you don't, and if you don't understand it well, there is harm both ways. One is thinking that Guru devotion is Guru domination, and then this is a very bad practice and you want to like reject it. Another thing is like, even if you do your Guru devotion properly, there's also, you may go to one extreme of thinking that Guru is everything. So Guru becomes like the God, the creator, even though Buddhism does not accept the creation theory, that everything comes from our own karma, not by one person. But we tend to, if you don't understand properly, you tend to have like so strong Guru devotion and to think that everything is made by the Guru. And then the Guru becomes the creator, the God. And that is like putting the Guru on the same pedestal as God, or making Guru as interchangeable as God. That is also a wrong thought. Or to think that Guru devotion means Guru domination, and that is bad because the Guru is trying to manipulate people. That is also a negative. Of course, there are many scamsters, right? People who fraud gurus. There are so many that, but that is individual Guru, not the Guru in general. So the point is that if you look for flashy gurus, if you look for famous gurus, if you look for gurus that are beyond your, I don't know, beyond imagination, and if you look for a guru that is beyond you, or something that is beyond your, I don't know, if you look for things beyond the ordinary, then you will also get the things that is beyond ordinary. If you look for a shocking guru, then the guru will shock you, okay? Maybe in good ways, maybe in bad ways, okay? And then once you get shocked, then you start to have doubt over all of the Vajrayana teaching, then you have doubt over all over the Buddha Dharma in general, and then you go to like Vajrayana, this and that. Anyway, so back to the question, how does some reject Vajrayana teaching? How do Vajrayana practice? So like, as I said, genuine questions is allowed even in Vajrayana, okay? Genuine question, genuine doubt. But beyond that, if you become, what is the word, suspicious and skepticism. Yes, skepticism is not allowed in Vajrayana, okay? So in general Buddhism, like in the Mahayana teaching, the common Mahayana and uncommon Mahayana. Uncommon Mahayana means Vajrayana, okay? So in general Mahayana teachings, general Theravada teachings, Buddha's teaching in general is very much open for skepticism, okay? In Tantrayana, in Vajrayana, there is no room for skepticism at all, okay? You like it, take it. You don't like it, just go away. We don't need you, we don't want you, we don't care, okay? So if you reject, it's okay, you just reject. If you accept, you accept. We don't care. So in the lower sort of in the Theravada and the Mahayana teachings, in the any other teachings, skepticism is very much welcome. In the Mahayana, in the Vajrayana teaching, skepticism is not welcome at all. Skepticism, but genuine doubt is different. Why? We can always ask why. By skeptical, what you know what I mean. So by being suspicious, by a skeptic, there's no room for that. If you do that, you can be skeptic. You can be a skeptic and follow Vajrayana. You can still do that. But if you do that, you will not attain even one single attainment, one single quality from your teacher by being skeptic in Vajrayana. Okay, so that is also very important, because in Vajrayana, total devotion to your guru is the most important thing, Guru devotion. So for many people, when you talk about Guru devotion, for example, this is a very short talk, so I'm saying Guru devotion is very important. So by saying this thing, many people in this classroom will feel shocked and maybe will be taken aback, this and that. So this is also okay. So if you're not ready for Vajrayana, it's okay. Just leave Vajrayana out of it. You practice something else, just very peaceful meditation, fragrant incense, good music, peaceful, clean, like that. That's also okay. That is also a way, okay, like that. I'm getting few direct message, like personal messages about how good your translation is, Mr. Hung, and really appreciate that.
Sorry,
Can you hear me?
Rinpoche. They
I'm getting some message.
They are skeptical about my translation.
They say you are very good.
Really, Rinpoche?
I'm getting direct messages. People are saying good things about you.
Oh, really? Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I have felt that they are skeptical about my translation.
No, they're really appreciating. Yeah. So really, yeah, I really appreciate your that you're getting all the important things and you're doing a very good job. Very grateful for you. And really appreciate it. Because this is a very profound topic. So we need to elaborate explanation. And I have one more elaborate explanation to go on now.
Yes. Yeah.
You can say, you can tell, you can translate what I said. Yeah. I'm getting personal messages saying that you are doing very good job. Yeah, thank you. So look at the last one. So there's one last question is, what is the relationship between emptiness and selflessness? Okay, that is the question. So I'm relying on you again, Mr. Hong. Okay, so I'm not going to go into detail, maybe talk about this later. So basically, selfness is what we refer to when you talk about the emptiness of the person, the individual, the person. And emptiness is what we refer to when we talk about, okay, let's use this word first. Lack of intrinsic existence. Lack of no intrinsic existence, right? No inherent existence. Lack of inherent existence. Lack of intrinsic existence. So when we use the when we talk about lack of inherent existence for the individual, we use the term selflessness, because self, to exist something from the self, it has to be intrinsic, it has to be inherent, it has to be from inside, from here. So what we are saying is there's nothing from here, it's everything put from there. Everything that is, it is actually labeled from the outside, right? So which is a little bit different from what we normally think. We usually say like nothing is out there, but everything's labeled from the inside. So here what we're saying is the self, the individual, the person exist by depending on other factors. There is no self-sustaining or intrinsically existing self from the beginning to the end, like that. So this is actually comes from the belief in non-Buddhist teachings, because many of the Buddhist masters, they were themselves once following the Hindu and other traditions, and not just non-Buddhist as in the Hinduism, but also in many other traditions. There's always the talk about in many other faiths like Christianity, there's the talk about the soul, this and that. The soul has been there since the beginning, etc., etc. So in Buddhism, there's no such thing. We don't accept the concept of the creator God or the concept of the soul. And the self, the person, the individual, when we use the word self, we are talking about me. Each of us is a me, right? There's how many people are here today, this group? There is 36 online, and then there's about 4 or 5 people, I think a bunch of people with Mrs. Wang. So basically there are 40 something people in here. They are all me, right? 40 people means 40 me. So all these me, they are self, right? So that self is not, that person, that me, does not exist by itself. Okay, so because it does not exist by itself, it is selfless. So the lack of intrinsic existence, or lack of inherent existence of a person, is called selflessness, and lack of inherent existence for all other things is called emptiness. Okay, and why we differentiate it between the person and everything else? Okay, why we differentiate into two categories? Why not like 3, 4, 5? The person, the tree, the river, the mountain. Why not like that? Why only two categories? Because the person, in today's term, the person is the consumer, the user, the experiencer, and everything else, even ideas, right? Even food, food of course is experience. Like even ideas is also experience. Not only the food and the material thing, but even abstract things like ideas, experiences. Even experience is experienced by the experiencer. Experience cannot experience experience. Experience has to be experienced by an experiencer, a person. So person is one thing and everything else is on the other side. The river, the mountain, the river is a river because we call it a river. We see it as a river. The mountain is this and that, right? Our enemy, friend, everything. The self is the individual, the person, the me, and the rest means everything else. Me and the rest, okay? Me and the rest. So selflessness is a term we use while we deal with the lack of inherent existence of the me, of the individual, of the user, of the consumer, of the experiencer. And emptiness is the term that we use for the rest, which means the things that we experience. Okay, so for that reason, even though we use two different terms, basically selflessness and emptiness are both talking about lack of inherent existence. But the subject is different. Lack of inherent, when we say selflessness, the subject is the person. When we say emptiness, the subject is everything else. But you can still use it interchangeably. You can say the selflessness of a tree. You can also say the selflessness of a mountain, or you can say the emptiness of a person. You can use that interchangeably, but normally we use it as like that. Yeah. Thank you so much. Let's do the dedication now. Jewa di nyudo da lama sangye chogyo jowa cheja malu ba geye sala ge para sho chancho semjo rembo che maye pan ge juro che ge ba nyamba me para kone kondo be wara sho me je ve che me ge one boy John boy my lu jo my ze sang we kan je ge zo ge zong kai ba lo ba san chai be shai lai so wai lai sai chai shai lai so wai be yin bo zhen be Nam do yu gen la chang chu la san che ye yam de cho gen do ten ye zho zhen tam zo wa de dedication Vietnamese.
Finish, Rinpoche.
Hello. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Rinpoche.
much. Thank you everyone. Thank you, Mr. Hong.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.